Hey, Brannon, Beliso. It is Friday. Man, it's Friday, December 5th, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on the West Coast. I am Brannon Beliso. This is Success Never Sleeps, where we as a collective, man, we're just trying to figure this thing out. We're small business owners, particularly martial arts school owners, and we want to be profitable. We want to be successful. We want to create the type of passive revenue streams so that we can create the lifestyle we deserve, right? But there's a lot of moving parts to that. And each week we try to unpack that and help you discover new ways to succeed in your business and everything that you're trying to do. Cool. So as you come on board, say hello. Tell me where you're tuning in from. I always appreciate that. It's such a good thing. And we know you're sharing this space with us. Let's begin by thanking our sponsors. Who do we have? We have Tucson, Market Muscles, My Studio, Kids Love Life Skills, LC Accounting, Kin Creative, all services I use, all people that I trust and value. As I say all the time, that in our business, we're not transactional, we are relational, right? Everything we're trying to do is to create that relationship. And for me, these companies that I work with, all the people you see down here below on the screen are people that serve the martial arts industry at an extremely high innovative level, but more so than that, they're the type of people you'd want to be in a relationship with, right? And if we're going to go through this thing called life, I want to have a lot of fun. I want to do it in love, and I want to do it with people that I genuinely respect and care about. Cool. So check any of them out or DM us, and we'll be happy to share that space with you of who they are. All right, it's time group mentoring. Me, Marco, Miss Moeek, and Jason. I'm very proud of the team. As I shared, we are active martial arts school owners. We're in the trenches like you. We bring a skill set to the table that really, I believe, can move you. I just got off a call with a guy and we went through his website. He was just, unaware is a better word for that. He's transitioning, right, from a traditional job to being a small business owner and recognizing it's a whole different skill set. And as you practice, being a small business owner, a new sense of awareness kicks in. And that new awareness kicks in, something as basic as your website, right? So we're able to really break that down, and he was very inspired. And that's what we do, right? We don't just sit there and consult you. We go through every bit of your business with you, trying to uncover why you're not getting the results you want, or double down on the things you are doing that get you results. So there's a lot of moving parts to being a successful small business owner. And I really believe with the It's Time group mentoring, we can bring that to the table for you. So please make sure that you reach out to Marco or myself or anybody of that nature. Will take care of you. We have Bob Poole, Goals Martial Arts. What's happening, sir? How are you? And we got somebody else there, Marco. I'm not sure who that is. I don't see their name or their school. So maybe they shouldn't be there. Who is it? What's the name of your schools? I just see SHUP. Well, I don't know what that means, Marco. All right. So what is it all about today, right? Here we are. A little less than 30 days left, right? Actually, 26 days left in the month of December. And we're all trying to figure out how to finish the year strong, right? You can put in the comments, what are some of the things that you're doing to end the year strong? My purpose today is to share with you what we do pretty consistently, pretty habitually, year in and year out, that help us finish the year strong. And it's also fuel for 2026, setting the pace, setting that momentum. Number one, we have a tuition increase every January. I think what's most challenging is when I see, people that come into our industry and don't make any kind of tuition increases. I think that's a huge challenge. Like any business, with my health insurance, it goes up $20 every year, like clockwork, every year, right? So it's the same thing here. You should have tuition increases every year, but it's got to be something that's palatable, that people can embrace and recognize. So what do? Roughly $10 a month. So every year the tuition goes up by $120, right? Somewhere there between 120, 150. And so you want to be mindful of that one, you should have that in place, because after a while, your regular students, everybody's conditioned to it. It's not a big deal. But if every 3 to 5 years you drop this huge $300-400 tuition increase, that really can hurt your retention. And by default, people will have to quit and they can't afford it. If it's a regular thing that happens every year, then people prepare for it. People budget for it, right? And we're working double time each and every class that we teach to do what? To get people to believe in you. Because if they believe in you, then they'll spend the amount of money that you're asking for. So that's big for us. So come around September, October, we start promoting, hey, we have a tuition increase come January, be mindful. Of course, new students through the door, coming through the door will have no reference. So whatever you're charging currently, right, increase or not, it has zero impact on them. But for your existing members, you want to add value. So it's the only time of year we really promote you can do 1 year paid in full. It is the only time of year that we do that. I think paid in fulls are a huge misconception because you have this overinflated month, right? And then you turn around and spend that money, and then you're crying 6 months down the road. If you're going to do paid in fulls, which I don't think are a bad thing, if you take that money, if you put it in a separate account, and you make sure to um, distribute that money over 12 months, right? You got to spread that money out over 12 months. And that's the biggest thing, when we have that discussion, okay? And that's the big thing. I'm not against paid in fulls. It's just if you spend all the money in one place and you don't budget it for the whole year, then you're in a bad position. We actually put the money in a separate bank account and we drip it in every month based upon it being a month-to-month payment. I hope you're with me on that. Because what are we? We're a cash in, cash out business. Certain amount of money needs to come every month because our expenses are the same every month. You with me? So please, please, please pay attention to that. Now, we also incentivize it by, making sure that we add value. So we let people know if you want to pay with a check, you can avoid the credit card fee. So it saves them a couple of $100. Again, it's doesn't change for us, right? If they pay with a credit card, the credit card company gets that 3% or whatever it is. If they pay with a check, we still don't lose anything. So I think it's a value that we're mindful to give that value to people. So we're breaking it down. So a lot of people take advantage of it, especially our year 3, year 4 people, that are been longtime students that you want to add that value and pass the savings on to. So tell me you're doing a tuition increase every month. I mean, every year. Tell me you're doing that. Just want to check this right here. Boom. All right. So I want to be extremely mindful of that. So we do it every year. It's roughly 4%, and it's $10 a month. We've even sat there and said, hey, it's the cost of 2 Starbucks lattes, right? If they can see it in layman's terms, a tuition increase is not a bad deal. And we always pass on the credit card fees. And I think it's a challenge when I talk to somebody in our industry and they say, well, we absorb the credit card fees because it's just part of doing business. No, it's not. Everything we do in this world, we're absorbing some type of fee. I eat a restaurant in San Francisco, right? And then they have some kind of health fee, right? Or an employee's health fee. And there's these little nickel and diming fees that you can't get around if you want to eat in that restaurant. Hey, what's up, David Diaz? How you doing, sir? How are you, David Diaz, sir? Cool? All right. So that's number one. And again, if you make it a regular thing every year to increase your tuition by roughly 4%, it's palatable. People can manage it. People can adjust for it, and it's there for them. Okay. So I want you to pay attention to that. All right. Super important to me. Plan your calendar for the year, right? You should be putting everything into a Google Calendar right now. And what do we begin with? Curriculum, right? What's the curriculum being taught in January, February, March, right? When is belt testing? All of that should be there. Any type of workshop to support that curriculum, makeup stripe workshops. We have a black belt prep workshop. All those should go first into your calendar because that is what adds value to our core product, which is martial arts instruction. The majority of us make the majority of our money from what? Martial arts instruction. So the first thing that goes into the calendar are those things. I would never cancel a black belt prep workshop or a makeup stripe workshop to put an event there. No way, because people have come to recognize it's a regular thing in your program. It's the added value that comes with it. And for that, people are grateful. Okay? Stay with me on this because I watch, people give you $100, you give them $500 worth of value, they're a happy camper. So not only do I pay you for a twice a week program, I get these additional workshops at no additional fee. Super important and adds value. The next thing that should go into that calendar are all of your retention events. What do we have coming up? I hope everybody does. We have a holiday party, right? We have a holiday party. And that holiday party is purely retention. We're going to give away prizes like a week of camp. We'll give away a premium birthday party. Everybody who attends the event gets a one martial arts t-shirt. We spend a lot of money to pay it forward and give to our existing student base, right? Retention events are super important because, again, right, it's one of the reasons beyond the martial arts classes why I want to be part of something special, which is your school. So tell me, everybody, that you're doing a holiday event. David, Bob, you guys doing a holiday event? I hope so. And as you come aboard, say hi. Tell me the name of your school and where you're tuning in from, and that would be much appreciated. All right. So the next thing on that calendar that needs to go in there is things like your quarterly taxes, right? Payroll dates, all those things should be there as well, right? The nuts and bolts. In that scheduling, I want a certain amount of vision work time. Every day you should be spending a couple of hours working on your business, not in it. I think the big mistake that people make is they work in their business constantly, but they never work on their business. For us, we're finally wrapping up our new curriculum videos of white to black. So what it takes to start from day one all the way getting ready to test for black belt, it's just about done. But for me, it's very important that I do one thing until it's done. Hey, Eric, what's up? Eric, how are you, sir? Eric Roach, Hype Martial Arts. I dig it. I dig it. Long time, Eric. It's good to see you here, sir. It's really good to see you here. And so I want to make sure that that is in my schedule as well, right? I want everything in there when it comes to administering my curriculum. That for me is just number one. Number one, we talked about the retention events. We talked about your quarterly taxes. We talked about payroll, right? That vision work, though, that I'm asking you to really set that time aside for is going to help you get your chops as a small business owner. Again, I was working with a school owner today, and going through his website would tell me he just doesn't have the business mindset yet. But it's like anything, like a front kick. If you don't practice it, you don't get better at it, right? Same thing here. And by you allotting a certain amount of time every day to do vision work, you're going to become a better small business owner. You will make better decisions. Now, you can listen to podcasts, read books, things like that. I highly recommend it. No, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. But what that allows you to do is to get different viewpoints so you can begin to formulate your own. Because when the day's done, you got to formulate your own opinion. You just do because it's your life, it's your space, it's your race, it's your business. That's why at the end of every show or call, what do I say to you? Don't listen to me. Don't listen to anybody. You have got to figure it out. That's what's empowering as a business owner. That's why there's a certain amount of critical thinking and problem solving you need to do without looking at a YouTube video, asking ChatGPT, or going down the AI rabbit hole. All it does is distance you from that intuitive side, right? That helps you make better business decisions. Because business decisions based upon data on the surface looks really good. But at a deeper level, there's a gut thing that comes with being a great business owner that you cannot quantify through data. And I've learned that firsthand, owning businesses for 35 plus years. Other than martial arts schools, I've owned other businesses. Some I've done well, not some of I haven't done so well. But again, it's just part of the game. And if you're not cool with it, then go do something else. So, vision work. As I shared, we just finished curriculum from white to black. There were about 80 videos in there. I've had to redo 15. I have to redo another 20 videos. But once that's done, white to black, and I can lay that curriculum to rest, I can focus on black belt prep. And my guys were giving me, grief about that. We need black belt prep for next year. We need it, but I'm not going to do that looking over my shoulder going, white to black belt still not complete, right? We also went through the process this year of revamping our white belt curriculum and our year one curriculum a lot. A lot. Because where's the highest attrition rate? 0 months to 18. We know that. In the martial arts business, 0 to 18 months is still where the highest attrition rate lives. Now, I can throw up my hands and say, well, whatever. But no, I'm still going to use that as a challenge. I believe we can improve our retention, reduce our attrition if we're constantly bettering white belt through year one, white belt through year one, constantly doing it. And we've done so again. And we've simplified a lot of the curriculum, right? Which I would never thought I would have done to that level. We have some stripes that are literally one technique. And you do the offensive technique like a cross punch. You do the defensive, how to check that cross punch and counter. That's simple. But now what we're finding, because if you talk about martial arts in a real street fight, right? If self-defense is your focus, how many techniques do you need? 3, maybe 4, right? In real life. So really all of it is just fodder. All of it is extra stuff. All of it is variations of the theme. So to simplify this curriculum has really made a huge difference because we have a student going who is in our 3 to 5-year-old program. I watched him seamlessly enter youth karate and be able to comprehend the curriculum, where before was such a huge gap. We're finding already this year that a lot of our yellow belts are staying longer to yellow orange. They're staying longer to orange belt and on because they're not frustrated with this curriculum. It's fun, it's engaging, and it's empowering. So again, that type of Kaizen theory is why we continue in our business to be successful, right? So I want to take a look at last year's calendar and find out what events didn't work, right? As you're adding everything to this calendar, tell me what didn't work last year. What didn't work, right? So when you look at 2025, make sure you're clear of that. And then ask yourself, was it because we didn't plan properly? Was it because nobody was interested? And weed through that. Weed through that, right? Because I want to produce retention events, as I shared, that are going to endear people, to get people to believe in what we do. Because the more people believe in what you do, the more they're going to stay with you through hard times when they're on the fence and they want to quit. They're going to stay with you and they're going to continue to spend money with your business. You with me? But you really have to wrap your head around that mindset, Eric, that I got to get from being a transactional business, if that's who you are, to being a relational business, right? I give you $20, you give me takeout food. That's not a relationship. That's transactional. And the food tastes good, I go back again. But when what we do based upon service is really relational. It's a relational thing, right? Monday, I was in an elementary school. They were doing a school talk on control and determination. They asked me what my fee was. I said, I have no fee. All I ask is for a way to promote my services through your network. She said, sure. If the school district approves it, we'll do that for you. Okay, fine. Boom. See, that's relational. I'm going to make what? I normally charge for something like that $500 to $800. I'm stepping over $1 to pick up a penny, right? If I can potentially get exposure to the 300 some odd students, their families at this one elementary school, you with me? Okay, relational. Wednesday, we had a boy transitioning from the 3 to 5-year-old program into youth karate. I only teach on Thursdays, but I went in on Wednesday and sat next to mom for 45 minutes, talked her off the fence. We both, convinced each other he could do this, and he did really well. There you go. See, that's relational. And if you can really move from transaction to relational, your business is going to flourish better. And you're going to be closing that back door and improving your retention. But think of those unique Disney moments you can create in your business that allow you that every day. It's just awareness. It really, really is, right? It just really is. So getting back to the calendar, then of course you have community events, right? Add them in. Add them in. I was at that elementary school. We have a cotton candy machine that's in rotation, right? We do back to school night. We do movie in the park. We do, that cotton candy machine's out there pretty regularly, right? Because it's much easier and more valid and valuable to a school to get free cotton candy than it is to you pull everybody out of school to do a demo at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday, right? For a school assembly. It's just much harder to do that. So we're mindful of that, right? We didn't plan events around holidays well. Yeah, I did that one year, Eric. I don't know what was going on. I think we had, a 3-year-old and my daughter was just born. right? So we got a 3-year-old and a 2-month-old, and it's crazy. So sometimes we miss those things. We're pretty diligent now because I have a really good team in place and they handle most of it. Like, we already have all the details out for both holiday parties. They're both completely booked. We have the itinerary. We've ordered t-shirts to give to everybody at the event. It's locked in. It's locked in, right? It's one of the best retention events we do is that holiday party. We'll do sing Christmas songs. The cool thing is I've taken that Christmas party, Eric, and it does help us, right? We give out Trader Joe gift cards, Target gift cards, Roblox gift cards. We give away a week of camp. We give away a premium birthday party, but you have to earn tickets, right? You do the arts and crafts project, you get 3 tickets. You do the life skills coloring sheet, you get 3 tickets. You scan the QR code and leave us a review at Google, you get 5 tickets, right? So they're trying to get all these tickets so that they can have a better chance of winning, right? We have all these different backdrops where they have photo opportunities. They take a picture there, post it at social media, they get 1 ticket. So you see how we incentivize that? They can promote our business while they're at this event, earn tickets to earn prizes. That's cool, right? So we've done that, but we don't lose the heart and soul of that event. We make sure that it's all about, giving more value to our students. There'll be treats, this arts and crafts, there'll be prizes. They get a t-shirt. There's so much value that goes into that. And it's very time sensitive because we're closed for a week in December, right? We close from the 24th through January 1st. So people leave on a high. And of course, we also have belt promotion, right? We do everything's on a cycle. And this is where this is really important when you're looking at your calendar. We do a 3-month rotating curriculum, 1-month review, makeup, stripes, and testing. So guess what we're in right now? We're going to have testing the month of December. Everybody earns a new belt. They all want to come back in January to continue. We have black belt testing in December. Again, that type of momentum will carry them over the 1-week break into January. Those are very strategic in these last 30 days. Okay. So when you're planning out that calendar, recognize you can have the best event, but if it's not timed well and it's done at a poor time, it will not work. What is Eric asking, sir? Pop that up for a moment. How often do you work makeup stripe workshops into the calendar? We've been structuring our rotating curriculum. Well, now, gratefully, Eric, I can tell you, since we've revamped the curriculum again and we've, tested it for a whole year, we're finding about 95% of our students are earning their stripes. Yep. Yep. And I'm so excited about that. And then so if you have 5%, that 5% may not merit a makeup stripe workshop. There was a time though, Eric, I'm going to tell you, where our curriculum was so complex that we had to have a makeup stripe workshop every month. At the end of every month, if you didn't earn, the 2 stripes or one of the 2 stripes, come to the makeup stripe workshop. Then it's gotten to the point where it became a practice class. People already had their stripe, were showing up just to get an extra class. So we knew we were on the right track, right? And now I believe with this new incarnation of our curriculum, we won't need to do makeup stripes at all, at all. Even though we have these great instructional videos, Eric, right? And we've simplified the curriculum, right? There's still going to be that kid that didn't earn a stripe. But if the curriculum's dialed in so tight, you don't need curriculum videos. You don't need the workshop. That's the goal we're trying to get at. So the videos, everything else are added value. You with me? If we're using the videos and makeup stripe workshops because the curriculum's way too complicated and too much of it to begin with, that they're not able to digest it in the class and practice it in the class and earn the stripe in the class, then you should really go back to the drawing board. And we did. And again, I'm very excited about this new incarnation of our curriculum because the main core product we deliver is martial arts classes. Make no mistake. Where do we make the majority of our revenue? Martial arts classes. Cool? Cool. I hope that answers your question with that. So we did our calendar, everything on it. And then, of course, your personal stuff, right? Your vacations, whatever learning events you're going to go to, all those things should be scheduled in there and well. Because if you're not growing as an individual, you're not doing things for yourself personally to become a better version of yourself, your business will fail. Or at worst, it'll just be stagnant. And we can, be a martyr and wear it like a badge of honor. I work 1,000 hours a week for my family, my team, and everybody, and I neglect myself. You know who's classic at that? A lot of health workers, right? I go to hospitals and the nurses are the most unhealthy people in the room. And I don't say that stereotypically. I've witnessed it. I've seen it. So I want to be mindful of that, right? That I'm doing things for me. Me time is really important. I'm no good to anybody unless I'm good to myself, right? And we use that analogy on an airplane. If you're on an airplane with your kid and the cabin pressure drops and the mask drop down, you put on your mask first so you don't pass out putting on your kids. You with me? It's the same thing here. But I watch a lot of people in our industry, I see it, right? I see it. They're either working out all the time and they're never working on their business, or they work on their business all the time and they never work out and take care of themselves. There is a healthy balance in there somewhere for you. Please find that. And if you have to schedule it into your Google Calendar, schedule it into your Google Calendar. Okay. And whatever else you need to add to that calendar, servicing your cars, your after school events, things like that, put it all in a Google Calendar, right? Put it in and put notifications so you're alerted. Okay. You with me? All right. So that's important as well. Another big thing for me in the month of December is I want to reduce my tax dollar. So I'm spending money. I'm spending money. I want to remat San Francisco. And mind me, I'm not spending my own money. I'm going to use a line of credit to do this. Why? We're a cash basis business. Okay. Stay with me. You have $30,000 of expenses every month. You want $30,000 of income. I'm not going to deplete my cash flow to pay for these other things. I'll use a line of credit. I have one at 9%, which is pretty reasonable, at this point, and I'll use that. I'll use that because it's also important to a certain degree to have a certain amount of credit history. That's important, right? I pay my credit cards in full every month. They don't like me because they make nothing off of me. So I want to balance that a little bit because somewhere down the road, I may want to go to that same bank and get some type of loan, right, to grow my businesses. So I'm going to put a shed in the backyard. That's like a $5,000 project installed. Why? Because we keep a big portion of the supplies from both of our locations in my personal garage. So I wanted to get this shed anyways, because my wife wants to convert the garage into an open space for my teens to hang out with their friends. I said, okay, let me check with my accountant because over, 60, 70% of that garage is for the martial arts schools. Can we write this off? So not only am I reducing my tax dollar, I have the write-off of this shed that's going into my backyard. Same thing with the mats, right? So you want to look to ways. I'm buying all new gear for my team, right? Zip, track jackets and things like that. So you want to spend that money, right? So where can you spend that money? Think about that. Otherwise, you give it away in tax dollars. Give it as a bonus to your team, right? Even something like that. Again, I think it's smart business to reduce my tax dollar. So whatever way I can do that, is super important. You with me? All right. So what else should I be doing? Paying it forward. That's a big one. We have a toy drive going on in both locations. I don't know. It's a personal thing. I really believe in karma. Karma is a big one for me. So I want to make sure that I'm paying it forward, right? We do a Toys for Tots in December. We do one warm coat in January. And for me, it's just super magical and it's important. Everything cannot just be take, 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 right? That's why if you come to me and you're doing a musical at your high school and you want us to donate a week of camp to your silent auction, we're on board. Right, we're on board. I would never donate 2 weeks of martial arts classes and a t-shirt. It's self-serving and of no value to the average parent. But you want to, let me bid on a week of camp or a birthday party all day, every day. You with me? So that's a big one too. We're looking for opportunities to pay it forward. I understand today my wife's going to pop popcorn before a movie night at my daughter's middle school. Tomorrow, she's going to work at the Mills High School Food Bank, right? She is the co-owner of One Martial Arts in Millbrae. Her presence in the community speaks volumes about who we are as a business. Why? Nobody cares what you know until they know that you care. Write it down, live and die by it, and that alone is going to help grow your business. For me to stand in an drop-off point for e-waste, taking monitors and stuff out of the back of a trunk, standing shoulder to shoulder with the superintendent of schools, with the principal of this elementary school, with the head of the PTA, and I'm wearing One Martial Arts gear all day, every day. Your people hanging out, just serving the community, and you talk on a different level, right? It's not like you set up an appointment to walk in the principal's office and pitch, let me come in for PE teacher of the day or do a confidence building workshop. You with me? Huge difference, huge difference. And believe me, when I did that event on Monday, I did nothing to sell our martial arts classes. Nothing. I served at the highest level, and through that organically, they're going to post in their email. We had Brannon, Beliso, One Martial Arts come out to our school and did A, B, C, and D. Okay. So for me, it's super, super important, right? It's super important that I put myself in a position in a community. And it's so awesome. I didn't make the introduction. She did. She introduced me as, a community leader. I've never heard that I'm a community leader. First time for that, right? But I think it's wonderful to be viewed that way and have people see you that way, right? I didn't even give myself that title. So again, make sure that in your calendar, doubling back to that for a minute, that you're putting in all those pay it forward events. Anywhere you can be wearing your school hoodie or t-shirt or whatever, helping the community is impactful. And organically, you're wearing your school t-shirt, your branding, it helps a lot. You with me? So that's a big one. So again, Toys for Tots, One Warm Coat is a big one for us. And then, of course, we're going to be closed for a week. So what type of things can be done in the schools that can't be done during your regular schedule? I know we're closed for a weekend. We may go out of town and, have contractors take care of things, install the mats, things of that nature. But, if you're closed for a week, there'll be a certain amount of family time. But if you can get in there and paint a room, scrub down your mats, things like that, to kind of have this fresh, updated look when people come back after a week of being gone, that they'll notice, powerful, just powerful, right? When I did a deep dive on what moms need, right? Need what they need. They want an environment that's safe. They want it to be supported, and they want it to be clean, right? What a trip. What a trip. Those are the three main things a mom looks for when looking for an activity for their child. Safe, supported, and clean. Write it down. Why? At your website, in your social media posts, in the photos that you take, should represent those three things. If you go look at my youth karate page at onemartialarts.com, I think I say the word safe and supported a couple of different times. I want to add in the word clean, though. Why? It helps my SEO ranking. If every mom's looking for safe and supported martial arts classes in Millbrae, California, or San Francisco, California, I want to rank. If I had that, worked into the copy of my website, it helps, right? When those algorithms are searching for a safe and supported martial arts school in Millbrae, mine will pop up. And see, those are the type of vision work that I do every day for our business that I know we all need to be doing. We all need to be doing it. I sit at my website. I scrutinize headers. I scrutinize the copy. I change up pictures. Why? Google likes dynamic websites. If your website is dynamic and you're always updating it, then you're going to rank higher in SEO. That's why I hope everybody here on the call spends a lot of time in their Google business page. That to me is just as important as my website, and then my Facebook group, my Facebook business page, and my Instagram. I also use Yelp and Nextdoor. So if you look into either of those, there's, Yelp's come a long way. For a while, they were getting a bad rep, and I think they've done a lot of house cleaning and changing in their purpose to really try to be a better service and product. So I like Yelp now again. I was an early adopter, and I was using Yelp when it was really, really cool before it kind of went awry, but it's come back to center, and I think it can really help a martial arts school. And then, of course, nextdoor.com is another one that I like to use. It's community-based. I get a little weary of people complaining about some dog neighbor pooping on their lawn and this and that. But overall, you can leverage Nextdoor for a bunch of stuff. Like on Halloween, I posted, come by our house, and we give out, cotton candy, right? We had 500 people in front of our home. Was I wearing a One Martial Arts hoodie? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, right? So again, looking at different ways to market is something I would be doing during that week down, right? You got a whole week off if you close. You're going to sit and watch reruns of Games of Thrones, or you're going to get in there and keep the momentum going, right? Just like summer, I watch so many schools pretty much shut their doors until August because they don't do day camps or anything like that. There is no downtime. We don't have downtime. They're just more opportunities to better our business and to lean in. So if you're closed for a week in December, I think that's another thing you could do. Yeah. So as you can see, there's a lot of things we should be doing in the month of December. Some people like doing a super sale, right? We did that for years. We had hot cocoa, apple cider, cookies. We had a designated area of the schools. I even had shop displays, coat racks, different things like that. And we really set it up, and we had a cash register to show you it's a point of sale, even though we did everything on a phone through an app. We did all of it. All of it. And we just didn't yield the type of, return that I found of value to us. And then I also moved into a different philosophy, learned from Lei of Encourage Martial Arts and my studio. He said, I'm not a retail store. I'm not a retail store. I'm a school. I'm an academy. I said, wow, okay. I get it. So we do have a pro shop. We do sell t-shirts and hoodies and things like that, but we don't behave like a retail store. So I found this sale started to go, south, because after all, people were just like, oh, okay, here's this another super sale. And of course, unfortunately, we're competing with Amazon, right? So you want to sell a Wave Master bag and you're trying to make a profit on it when they can go to Amazon and get it cheaper. That's a rough road to hoe. Right? So I want to look at specialty items, maybe engraved mugs, coffee cups, things like that. That might be a great stocking stuffer. But again, since we shifted out of trying to be a retail store at this time of year with a super sale or things of that nature, I have found that the culture that goes on during the month of December with, things like the holiday party and all that are better well received. If every time I turn around, I'm getting a Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas discount, if I behave transactionally like that, dominantly, then people are going to perceive me that way. Does everybody get that? Tell me, put that in the comments. Tell me if that makes sense to you. Go. And as you're coming aboard, say hi. Tell me where you're tuning in from. I love it. I love it. It's great to see you here, Eric. It's great to see you here, right? You got David Diaz, Bob. Anybody else hanging out with us? So answer that question. What behaviors in your business you could be perceived as transactional, right? Don't want to be a transactional business. I want to be a relational business. So my practices, my interactions, my habits need to be that. They need to be just that. Cool? All right. So let me do a kind of a synopsis. What have we done, right? In the 30-day review so far. Wow. We talked about belt testing, black belt testing helps for retention come January, right? We talked about the holiday party. We talked about our tuition increase. We talked about doing our calendar for 2026, having all the different moving parts in there, right? We talked about what we do if we're closed for a week, right? And we talked about hey, Michael, what's up, sir? Wow, I haven't seen you in a while. How's it going, sir? Good to see you here, Michael. So what else can we do in those 30 days, right? What else? Our life skill we're focusing on during the month of December. In November, it was gratitude. Spirit and family are the two life skills we're centered on. Again, we really want to make sure that it is our practice to promote our culture, right? And that's the stuff I learned from Apple and Disney and Nike. Why is it that people go to Disneyland and they're 80 years old with mouse ears and there's no kids with them? Because they went there as a kid. They went there as a teen. They went there with their significant other. They went there with their children. They went with their grandchildren. And they're still going to Disney on their own because consistently they get the memories that Disney offers them from the time they were a child until they're a senior, going to Disney on their own. That's what we need to do in our martial arts schools. If we can do that, the potential is unlimited. Eric's asking, Roy, hey, what's up, Roy? My good friend Roy from Miami. Eric's saying, I'm going to visit you. Yeah, absolutely, Eric. Absolutely. Friend, it's time. Yeah, we just finished It's Time, and it's unlike anything because it's not 2 days in Vegas, right? Where you walk through smoke filled casinos. You have these one-off random conversations. Even more challenging is you got all these different speakers with a different road, a different path. Do this, do this. And they only give you enough information to do what? Come to their booth and buy their product. They wet your whistle, but they don't give you the whole, bag full of tricks. They don't do that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. In the 4 days, it's one cohesive message, which we find, and we only limit it to just 20 school owners. So the networking and bonding, the accountability partners, which we're still doing right now, that go on, is unequaled. And I'm very proud of it. Yeah, it's our 10th year coming up. This was our 9th year. And I really enjoy the event. I cry. We all cry. We bond. We eat well together. All the meals are included. But it's really just the intimacy. And I kind of call it like the martial arts breakfast club, right? You got these 20 school owners just trying to do it better, be better. Now I have my team with me, Marco and Monique and Jason. And so it's this very amazing event. So think about it. We do it in November, Eric. As soon as I release the date for that, and I encourage you, block out your spot. Make that time. It'll be one of the best things you've ever done for yourself. There's not a single person that's ever done it that hasn't walked away and grew themselves personally as well as their businesses. So yeah. I'm glad everything's going great, Eric, Michael. I'm glad. It's nothing more I want than to see everybody be successful. I think that's one of the life skills we as small business owners, as human beings, and as martial artists should master. If you're always checking out what the competition's doing, not a good day. Do what you do really well, then spend your time, money, and efforts doing it better. If everything I do is reflective or responsive to what the other martial arts school is doing down the road, I'm always $1, $1 short and a day late. I want to develop my brand. I want to develop my why and make sure that it satisfies and serves the needs or the pain points of the core demographic I'm working with, right? If it's kids martial arts, right? A lot of us are kid-centric environments. Well, I want to know my mom. I want to know what she needs for her kid. And then I want to be the solution for that, right? So that's a big one too. And as we're going through this, next incarnation of One Martial Arts, we're visiting all of those systems. Every system must reflect live your best life. And if it doesn't, it needs to be reworked or gotten rid of. And that's super important because if you're not open to change, you will fail. Look at Blockbuster. I use that as an example. Blockbuster used to be huge. Blockbuster is gone. They laughed at Netflix, folks. Oh, you're going to mail a DVD? No one's going to rent DVDs through the mail. Lo and behold, because of the convenience of not having to put on a winter coat in the middle of winter and go to Blockbuster to look at a rack of empty boxes and there's no video. Anybody remember that? You see this whole row of this movie you want to watch, but there's no copies in the whole store, right? So that gave way. And then after that, think about it. Think about it, people. Think about it. Netflix became a network. Netflix produced its own shows. Netflix just bought up Warner Discovery. I saw that today. Think about that, right? So the ability to change is vital. Look at Disney. They're always revamping a ride. I love Tower of Terror's now Guardians of the Galaxy. What a great revamp, right? They're always updating a ride. They're always adding a new ride, right? It's this constant flux. You should be in the same space, whether it's with your curriculum, whether it's going deeper on your brand, your website, all of those things should be getting done. You with me? All right. What else is happening in December? Well, every month I produce an e-newsletter through MailChimp. If you don't have one, I highly recommend it. Why? You need to communicate better. Communication is the key to a successful relationship. Why do most people divorce? Bad communication. Why do most business partners fall out with each other? Bad communication. Communication is make or break when it comes to being successful. So again, having a clear place to operate from is vital. Ours is simple. Live your best life. What is Nike? Just do it. See, a very clear place. So when I write a blog, when I write a post, when I talk to a mom on the phone, everything lives and dies from live your best life. Okay? Think about that. Again, I didn't make this up. This is Apple practice, Disney practices, the things I've learned from these Fortune 500 companies. If we can borrow just a small percentage of that, I believe we have a better chance of succeeding than not in the martial arts business. But if your only answer to me is I tried that, it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, right? You failed because you tried. If you committed to it, you believe in it, you see it through to the other side, you see it into fruition. That is a huge mindset shift for me. When I was just a great martial arts instructor and I wanted to become a successful small business owner, I recognize nothing I want to achieve happens in a day. And along that pathway to achieving my goals, I'm going to fail. I'm going to stumble. I'm going to fall. I'm going to lose money. I'm going to get back up. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to fall back down. I'm going to try it again. That's just the way business is, right? So that's super important. And what I see happening, because I get a lot of the calls for it, people talk about the year, and that's important. They talk about, 2026. They're so hopeful. I think that mindset needs to shift. It's a good, in some ways, it's bad in other ways, because then you hit the gym in January, and by February 1st, the gym's empty again. You see? So that mindset shift is something you need to really, really lean into for 2026. And I'm always evaluating that mindset on a minute by minute, breath by breath basis. But my practice, and I'm big on habits, every night at midnight, I say, Happy New Year, because every day is a new day. It's an opportunity for course correction. It's an opportunity to apologize to somebody you need to say sorry to. It's an opportunity to be a better version of yourself, folks. But that's my challenge with these last 30 days. And that's why it's so funny. I post the last 30 days and everyone's going, yeah, what are you doing to end the year strong? It's not a year. It's another day. And that's the thing I notice with great businesses. They look at quarterly earnings and things like that. But you talk to NVIDIA, the CEO of NVIDIA, they say, what's your plans? He goes, I have none. They go, what? How can you be like, the biggest company in the world now, NVIDIA, and not have plans? He says, I don't. We're just in the moment trying to do better, loving our work. And it's pretty crazy to hear a kumbaya statement from a company that big. But think about it. Most companies reach success and they'll tell you a lot of it wasn't planned. A lot of it was just doing good work, doing right by people. So I will never, never, ever lean away from that in my business. I just don't. I don't. Cool. So what else could you be doing in the last 30 days? Post it in the comments. Hey, I got Ralph. What's up, Ralph? Excellent martial arts from Switzerland. Again, I always talk about Ralph, how proud I am. He's always showing me his curriculum updates and he's doing curriculum videos too now. That type of work is not glamorous, but it really helps your retention. If I set up my students for success with curriculum that's always relevant and updated, as well as curriculum videos, as well as training my staff really well, all those different things add up to a product that people can believe in, filled with Disney moments, even through the hard moments, right? I was sitting there last night in a sparring class, and these teenagers, God, they want to beat the crap out of each other. They got testosterone and hormones raging. You look at them crooked, and they want to just bite your nose off. And I'm in the middle of the sparring class going, okay, guys, LOVE, love. Everybody say it, love. And they're kicking and punching each other, right? Just trying to corral these youngsters. But that's part of the culture of what we do, right? Hey, Eric Garcia, what's up, sir? Wow, this is so cool. This is so cool. How's everything, sir? How is everything? So I'm mindful of that. When we're reflecting on these last 30 days, it's just one flow, people. Your train is out of the station. Don't derail it by doing something inappropriate or wrong, and then you got to pick up the wreckage of that train, bring it back to the shipyard, rebuild the train, get it on the tracks, and get out of the station again. If your train is rolling down the tracks, it may not be going 1,000 miles an hour, but if it's moving ahead in increments and your business is growing, that's better than standing still. That's better than getting frustrated, making bad choices, and derailing it, right? So I want you to be real, real mindful of that as you're reflecting on the past year, what you did well and what you can do better. I do that on a minute by minute basis. If I say something lame, what can I do better? Apologize right now. Right? If I'm going to eat a burger, then for dinner, I better eat a salad. Just, it's part of the course. It's part of the course. Eric, great. Thanks. You running my own school. Yeah, I know that. Right? Is it part of what you were doing before? right? Is it part of that? Are you guys still partners, or is this you all by yourself? I saw the move because it's not in the same city, even, right? It's in a whole nother place. But is that yours, right? Is that yours, or are you part? God, help me. I want to say Lonray. Why am I not saying his name right? I know who he is. I just haven't talked to him in forever. Why do I want to say Lonray? Lon something. Help me out, Eric. Help me out, sir, because I'm missing it, and I hate forgetting his name. I remember his boy. I remember his wife. I remember Cozumel, but for some darn reason, I can't remember his name. Lonray? Am I close? Am I close? Good. 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 Good for you, Eric. And the potential's unlimited. It's unlimited. And that's the beautiful thing about that. So that's what it looks like for me, as I wrap up the year, right? We definitely made mistakes for what's best for our business in the last year. 2026 is about getting back to our culture, getting back to us. Tell me, Eric Roach, what is the biggest mistake you made this year? Just so I could learn from it. Cosmo, what's up, Cosmo? You closed the first school, didn't you? I knew you were going to. Remember we talked about that? We had that discussion. Tell me, am I right? Did you close the original location and everything's in the big one now, correct? Correct? Didn't we have that discussion? And at the time, you weren't for it, right? God leads me, man, and that's what I love about my work. A lot of it, people say, "Well, how do you know?" I just know. Yeah, see, but we talked about how beautiful that location was, how it was established, walk by traffic. People like sitting. I said people like to sit outside or something. All of that. But when the day's done, you did move everything to the second location. I knew you would, sir, and I'm happy for you. Much more focused, right? Much more focused, and your presence. You're a big part of your business, Cosmo. So to have you present in one location makes a lot of sense to me. Just a lot of sense. So I'm glad that you closed that one. The one he has is so much bigger and it's beautiful. So good for you, sir. Very good. Very, very good. So tell me the mistake, Eric Roach. I got two Erics here, so I'm going to say that. Eric, tell me what your biggest mistake was in 2025. Anyone, I want to learn. I love learning. So go ahead and put it in there. We got greedy, expanded beyond what was best for our culture and team. Yeah, there's that great book by Jim Collins called How the Mighty Fall. Now, I loved his first book, Good to Great, right? And the other one, Built to Last. But then he wrote that book, How the Mighty Fall. And one of the big things they had in there, Eric, was the undisciplined pursuit of more. Undisciplined. That was the key word. And greed is an undisciplined practice, right? We've all done it. Me too. And it's just part of being human. I don't think it's good or bad. It's just part of being human. And I know anytime I'm greedy, I karmically and everything else, I just suffer. I suffer emotionally from that behavior. I feel unfulfilled. I feel empty. I'm just a servant. I love serving the community. To me, it's one of the highest callings in life. So going deeper is better than going bigger. But, if I have a team member that wants to make martial arts their career, I will happily open another location. People say, why don't you open more? Well, I have no need. I have other revenue streams and time is what I have. And that's worth a lot to me, Eric, right? I have a lot of time with my family. I only teach one day a week. So I'm going to relish that. My kids are 17 and 14 and, we'll be empty nesters soon. We're focused on expanding, not enough on our students. Yeah. That happens a lot. I watch schools. They have one school, then they open a second one and they take the rock star from the first school because they think that he can grow it better and bigger and faster. And then the first school suffers, right? Or they lose part of their, team because the team wasn't fully committed. It sounded good on paper, but until they were actually running that second location as a partner, then everything fell apart, right? So, I'm glad you learned from that. And I'm glad you're regrouping. It takes really good business people to recognize, let's stop doing this, right? No, you got to see it through. You got to. No, sometimes we know when a mistake's a mistake and we have the ability for course correction, Eric. which I think is super, super valuable. Cool. I could do this conversation all day. I got new people here. Please join us every Friday. We're here for Success Never Sleeps at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every Friday. Plus, every episode we've ever done is at our YouTube channel. Every episode. And I had the guy I talked to the other day, and he told me, if it wasn't for you, I would have lost my school in the pandemic. And I said, sir, why didn't you just reach out and say hi? He goes, well, I don't know. But, he followed everything I was doing virtually. He followed all the equipment, everything we did, the breakout rooms, Marco's video games. Remember that video game you made, Marco, for the end of the classes because we couldn't do dodgeball? Marco made some video game the kids could play at the end of each class. I mean, we did virtual better than everybody. But what we did was we led the way. And a lot of martial arts schools benefited from following me during the pandemic. And I'm grateful for that. I'm so grateful. I didn't charge for it. I didn't make money for it, but I know the goodwill I paid forward, filling my own personal karma bank, just that's because who I am, is powerful. And to talk to this guy yesterday, several years after the pandemic, and him to say that to me just made my day. Because you never know, if you're doing good work or not. I don't know if this show helps. I don't know if anything I do helps you. But if it does, let me know sometimes. It gives me good fuel. Good reason to keep doing what I'm doing, right? We're cutting back locations this year, okay? Going back to being more efficient and happier. Yeah, that work-life balance is important. All right, there it is. On it, rest. Let's look at this.
Hey kids, are you ready to go on an adventure? If we use teamwork, we can save the planets from the invaders. Let's go! Focus means to pay attention. Let's use great focus to defeat the dragons.
Punch! 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 Kick! Kick!
That was it. But see, we were doing things nobody was doing because we had a purpose. We had to help people. So we were learning. See what Ralph's asking? I still need Marco's warm-up video. What warm-up video was that, Marco? You had a warm-up video? And the kids really loved it. Good. Send it to Ralph. Send it to Ralph. And that's what I love, Everybody who's here, I know I've seen once or twice, but we go years back. Everybody here, Eric Roach, Eric Garcia. I met Eric Garcia years ago with Lonray, years ago, right? Cosmo. That's it. We don't give ourselves enough credit of how connected we are, how small our industry truly is, and how we should be leaning into each other, right? As long as we're not debating my eagle claws better than your tiger kung fu, and we get past that, we genuinely sit in spaces like this, we're all going to thrive. We're all going to grow. I promise you. So watch the reruns. We have every episode of Success Never Sleeps at the YouTube channel. Join us every Friday at 11 a.m. But more so, if I've helped you, spread the word. Tell another school owner. Tell them to watch my stuff. I'm grateful when all my work has helped so many people grow their schools, right? That is the best payment I receive beyond any kind of monetary benefit, right? Harvard 2018. That's when I met you. Hi, Eric. Harvard. Yeah, it does feel like a lifetime. I was just at Harvard in September with two. I went out there and spent a couple of days at the business school. It was the best learning experience ever. I was like, wow, sitting in those classrooms where it's like this big stadium and you look down at the instructor and everything's a wooden circle and you're sitting at a desk. It's just amazing. Amazing. Thanks for that memory, Eric. All right. I could do this all day with you guys, but we got to go. We got to keep the show under an hour. That's just the way it is, but I hope you choose to join us next week. It's good to see new old faces here. I thank God for that. I'm very grateful, and I'm glad everybody's doing well. We're all learning, and we're growing. I'm going to make a million mistakes. It happens all the time, but I'm okay with it. It's like being a basketball player. You're in a failure sport, right? My son got kudos the other day. He went 5 for 12. He missed 7 shots, but he still ended up with 12 points, right? Because of the 2 free throws. And I told him, see, that was considered good. And you missed more shots than you made. Life is the same way. We're probably going to end up missing more shots than we make, but that's okay, right? as long as we're balancing our life like Eric's talking about, as long as like Cosmo and, we're God-centered, as long as we keep doing good work, and we will be profitable. You will. I'm living proof of that, and I do it every day. Cool. So let's thank our sponsors. Tucson, Market Muscles, My Studio, Kids Love Life Skills, LC Accounting, Kin Creative, all companies I work with, all people I believe in. If you don't have Kids Love Life Skills, get it for Life Skills, please. You need it like yesterday, right? You're looking for a CRM system, My Studio, website, Market Muscles, Tucson, Martial Arts Supply, LC Accounting. My sister does great bookkeeping, Kin Creative. We do all digital ads, Facebook, Google, Instagram. All the bases covered. These are all people I work with. These are all people that impact our $2 million locations. So proof is in the pudding. Data doesn't lie. Where can you find me? Of course, all the social media channels. We have the podcast is on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can watch these episodes on all of those different podcast platforms. Cool. Otherwise, follow me at Instagram. You can subscribe to our Disruptor group. And for everything else, find me at brannonbeliso.com. Cool. Thank you so much again. It's great to see a lot of new people here. I'm so thankful for that. Thank you to Marco for holding down the fort. I am Brannon Beliso. This is Success Never Sleeps. Until we talk again, you go out there, live your best life.